Hello, everyone. I wanted to just provide an update and provide some encouragement to all of you this past week. As you know, those who have seen any of my previous videos are fully aware that I've been trying to share the gospel with as many people as possible, to encourage people to seek Jesus, to um, question the gospel, make sure they understand it, understand the type of heart posture and what Jesus is really looking for from us, in order for us to have that privilege to spend eternity with Him, in just love and peace and happiness. And I had revealed that one of the reasons that I was doing this was just because I felt a sense of urgency, because I felt like we were so close to possibly entering into the 7-year tribulation period, where at least from what I see in the Bible, there only seems to be one escape from that, which is this supernatural event called the Rapture, which I personally believe will happen before the tribulation. And so if the tribulation seems to be imminent, then the rapture, if it's a pre-tribulation, would also have to be imminent. And there were some signs that I saw that seemed to indicate that Feast of Trumpets in the year 2025 seemed like a very strong possibility for not only a rapture event, but also beginning of the 7-year tribulation as well. That time, at least on this calendar, has come to pass. And so obviously something went wrong with what I was seeing, whether it was with the year 2025, whether it was with the Feast of Trumpets itself, or whether it was with the calendar. There are other calendars that are relevant to the Bible, and so it's plausible that it could be the current calendar that we use today, the Gregorian calendar, is not what God is using to share His prophetic signs, or it could be some combination of those three. In any event, everyone has different opinions on this. My personal view was that I felt like it was okay to suggest a possible date, one time, if you feel strongly enough about it. And for me personally, I prayed on it and thought it through for a long time before deciding to publicly say anything about it. And I just felt in my heart that it was a strong enough possibility that I thought it was worth sharing, to alarm people and make them aware of it, and to motivate them to try to consider the gospel, consider what the true gospel is, and and for those of you who are non-Christians or atheists, whether God exists at all, was Jesus real, etc., and try to ask those questions now, not to wait. And so that time has passed for me. I was wrong, and am not qualified to ever share or suggest another date again, either for the tribulation or for the rapture, and so I won't do that. I will, me personally, I am seeking Jesus, and I want to see Him, and I want to be with Him, and so I will, on my own, try to understand where I personally went wrong with the dates that I was thinking, and if other dates make sense in the future, I will personally be looking at them and seeking Him, but I probably won't be talking about any specific dates going forward. So in praying about it, I the whole purpose of sharing some of these video messages was to share the gospel, and that still is the purpose, and nothing. There's still a lot of signs to suggest that this is urgent. So and that a tribulation or a rapture event could still be imminent, possibly. And so in thinking about that there's still some potential urgency just in terms of Bible prophecy, and then just also thinking about each one of us. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know if we're if we're going to live or die tomorrow. I know some of you who might be watching this, I'm not going to mention names, but there was a family in the town that we grew up in, that I grew up in, whose daughter tragically passed away in an accident very recently. Just absolutely heartbreaking, and the grief that the family is going through right now is unimaginable, and but it just shows all of us that we don't know how long we have on this earth, and so I still feel like, regardless of whether or not the rapture of the tribulation is imminent, which I still believe it could be, but either way, this is still an urgent message. And so I've through prayer, I just feel like God would prefer that I continue to share the gospel, and maybe look at some of the verses that we skipped over, find other people who share the gospel really well, and maybe share links to their information, maybe possibly share prophetic events and things that are happening. I'm not sure yet if that will be on the cards. The only thing that is off the table for me will be suggesting any dates going forward, so I just want to give all of you some encouragement to still continue to consider what the gospel message is, to consider to seek Jesus, and something that I will try to remember to say in every video going forward. I've said it in a few videos, but I don't think I've been consistent enough. I'll try to mention and remind people in every video to encourage all of you to never take a human being's word for anything in the Bible, whether it's a church leader, government leader, and especially someone like myself who's new to the faith and who's a nobody. So always pray on these things, take them to the Lord, and pray for discernment, and that's it. So that I think I'll start, maybe not as frequently as before, but I will continue to try to share some new videos regarding the gospel, and perhaps some other things in prophecy if people seem to be interested in that. The last thing I'll say is there is one specific event that will kick off the 7-year tribulation, and that is it's a peace agreement between Israel and a bunch of other countries. It's mentioned as 7 years in the Bible, but I don't know if the agreement itself will specifically say that it's 7 years, or if it means that it's just an indefinite, permanent agreement. But then, since the tribulation period is only 7 years, so maybe the agreement only lasts 7 years because of the tribulation. I'm not sure, but there's other mentions in that would be in 1 Thessalonians 5, chapter 5, verse 3. There's also another mention, I think it's in Joel chapter 3, verse 2, about judgment being placed on people who are trying to divide God's land. And so we've had these UN talks, and they're ongoing and continuing. They are around a two-state solution, which really would be about dividing God's land. They're around some sort of compromise with the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, which comprise of the town, Judea and Samaria, which are part of the ancient Israeli land. So there are talks around dividing God's land. There are talks about peace and safety, and about trying to come up with a peace agreement. This particular peace agreement is agreement that's not going to be a brand new agreement. It's going to be either strengthened or confirmed in some way. And so what's being discussed right now may or may not be that agreement. Could be a precursor to that agreement. I don't really know, but just wanted to share that. If any of you are interested, or still curious about are we close to this tribulation or not, that would be the number one thing to kind of watch, would be what's going on in the Middle East between Israel and other countries, and around different agreements and compromises. That would be the thing to pay attention to most. So just for what it's worth, I thought I'd share that. There's lots of other things going on as well, but I think that's the primary event. So I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you.